Welcome to OneVerse. Today we have Todd Hostetler, pastor at City on a Hill Teaching Center. He's going to be discussing a verse at random that we give to him, and he's going to be talking with Jeff Millslegel, also a teacher at City on a Hill. Gentlemen, Jeff's going to get to go first this time, and it is an Old Testament verse, and it is Esther 5:9. That says, "So Haman went out that day, joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, and that he did not stand or tremble before him, he was filled with indignation against Mordecai." Jeff, that's Esther 5:9.
Oh, wow. You know, Esther is this cool book. In fact, if I remember right, I don't think the word Lord is actually in this book at all, if I remember. There's like no mention of God in here. I think that's correct. Anyhow, but here, this guy Haman, he has just come from an audience with Queen Esther, and Esther has requested him to appear with a special banquet she's going to make, and he's agreed to that. He walks out of that, man. He is like, man, I got an in with the king because the queen wants me there. This is going to be awesome. But he is so full of hate. He walks out of here. He's joyful with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai, notice Mordecai didn't even say anything to him. He just sees Mordecai in the king's gate, and he did not stand up or tremble before him. Now, to get the background of this, you have to understand that Mordecai would not bow to Haman. Haman was somebody who wanted everybody to tell him how good he was, and that he was all that in a bag of chips. And Mordecai wasn't going to do this. It was kind of like borderline worshiping Haman here. And Mordecai just got nothing to do with this. And Haman just hated him so badly. He leaves the queen very happy. And then he runs in to see this guy, and he says filled with indignation against him. Okay, so by the way, Esther and Mordecai are related, but that's kind of another part of this. What this tells me is something about how important it is we control our emotions. This guy was completely uncontrollable when it comes to hate and rage within him. And then on the other spectrum, he seems to be overly joyful when it looks like he's going to be cut a break here. Now, there's nothing wrong with being joyful, but the point is that sometimes when we let anger and rage and not deal with it and just rage up in us, it can really make us do some crazy things. And that's what happens later on here to Mordecai here. But this tells me about how important it is for us to maintain a kind of a level or more of an even keel when it comes to emotions. This guy is just back and forth in this because he's so controlled by hate of this man Mordecai and what he stood for, because Mordecai wouldn't bow down and do the things to Haman that he wanted. He wanted all his adulation, and it just wasn't going to come from Mordecai. So yeah, Esther, it's a really fun book. It's got some cool twists and turns in it. I've always thought Hollywood's done a couple movies on Esther, but they've never done this well. This will be a great screenplay. Anyhow, what do you got there for us, Todd?
Well, we don't have time to do a screenplay of that tonight, but I agree that would be really good. But yes, when you look at that verse, to me, this just shows the difference between what the world considers joy and happiness and what true joy and happiness is. Jeff laid out the story for us really well. So Haman is the one who is the evil one. He is the one that had plotted and had actually put into place so that all of the Jews were to be destroyed. There was a date already put in place, and it was already enacted. The date was going to come. All the Jews are going to be destroyed. So if you're Mordecai, who is representing the Jews, is one of the leaders of the Jews, you are facing extinction. I mean, not just your death, but every person that you know, your entire family, your heritage is about to be destroyed. There's really nothing to be joyous about if you're Mordecai. But here's Haman, who has all this, and this verse talks about how he's joyous. But you see very quickly in the next couple of verses, that joy dissipates very quickly as he does see, as Jeff said, he does see Mordecai standing there. But then even further, he's invited to this party, and he goes home to his wife, and as he's talking with his wife, even though he thinks that, hey, you know what? I've been invited to a special dinner. It's just the king, the queen, and me, but I can't find any joy in this. Because as long as I know that Haman is alive, or as long as I know that Mordecai is alive, I cannot have any joy. See, when we try to find joy from the things of the world, we will never be satisfied and will never experience true joy. And that's why it said he was joyful in his heart, but how quickly that dissipated. Just within minutes, it dissipated. And then very quickly, we see that Haman actually then winds up losing his life, and God brings deliverance to his people who trust in him, and he brings deliverance to Mordecai, to Esther, to all of the Jews, and it just shows the difference. The joy the joy that we see later at the celebration that took place for the Jews, that's where you see the real joy. It's the joy that comes in serving the Lord. The true joy. In the New Testament, we're told in Galatians chapter 5 that the fruit of the Spirit is these things. And one of the fruits of the Spirit is joy. Joy does not come because you get a big tax return. Joy does not come because you got the job promotion. Joy does not come because even the person that you wanted to marry said yes. All those things are joyous, but that's not the true joy. The true joy comes from serving Jesus Christ and having your focus in him. And the Holy Spirit that is in you, his joy comes out through you. It is a wonderful and a beautiful story. And it does show us and illustrate joy in just the circumstances is always going to let you down. Make sure that you find your joy in Jesus Christ and in serving him. Jeff, why don't you wrap it up for us?
Well, the last verse of chapter 5, Haman's wife and all his friends say to him, let a gallows be made. And so they make this gallows. It's 50 cubits high. So it's probably like 75 feet or more high. They're going to make this crazy gallows because he's going to hang Mordecai. And a couple things. One, first of all, the very thing he was going to use on somebody else turns out to be used on him because he's hung from that thing. But the other thing is, it's shocking to me that his wife was going to participate in this. I mean, I am so thankful. My wife's one of those calm people. Now, Jeff, don't do it that way. You know, just take a moment here. And even if I'm upset and all that, you know, she's just calm. Man, look, we need to be doing this for each other. I mean, instead of coming home being mad and throw things around, just have somebody calm down. Just take a moment here. Let me help you with this. So anyhow, but I love this passage. This is a great, great passage. So, hey, thanks so much for watching OneVerse, and we hope to see you next time as we look at another verse from the scriptures.